So loving greetings to each and every one, and very, very warm welcome as well. And thank you, Pam. Always happy to join friends. You know, we are in a time when we're all in Zoom land and we're in a living Zoom and living rooms. And we're trying to cope with the state of the world at the moment. And I was thinking that it seems for me tonight I was having a big party at home. So I can see in a way that I'm all by myself speaking to a computer, or I can imagine that you're all here in my living room, turn from the living Zoom, and we're all together. So I see some of you have turned on your camera. Whoever wants to turn on the camera for a few seconds, you're welcome to do so. So we can say hello to each other. I can see you all. I know some of you, so always warm feeling in the heart to see your smiles. Many of you have been friends for many, many years. Like Pam mentioned, I've been knowing Pam for over 15 years. Thank you for opening your camera, and I see you, and I feel that I can connect. I see American Eagle here somewhere. I see nice living rooms here and there. And joy of being live in the living room. Phone can ring. So it's good to see you. And wherever you are, whoever you are, either we know each other or we don't. But it's the same for me tonight, because harmony in relationship means that tonight I'm just not going to give a class or a lecture, but hopefully just to create the experience of generating harmony in relationships, even right now. And to me, when I look at the screen, I put myself in a gallery view so I can see all of you. And I'm staring at you, finding the light in your eyes. Most of you do have lights in your eyes, I confirm. So you're all living beings. That's lovely. And you seem vibrant, awake. If any one of you falls asleep, I'm sorry, I'm told my voice is very good to put people to sleep. And many people tell me, I like to listen to your classes at night, Eric. I fall asleep right away. It's so good. So if you all fall asleep by the end of the lecture, you'll be forgiven. At least we'll have bring peace in your spirit for the rest of the night. But hopefully we will not be all sleeping at the end of the lecture or the sharing. It's always really aware of it. It's a privilege to be sharing and to have, friends like you taking time to listen. And I know that in the Brahma Kumaris, it's a big organization all over the world. Most of you probably know the organization. Some of you may not know. It's been on Earth now for over 85 years. There are centers everywhere in the world, and many like me have been enjoying these teachings for decades. And many like me have seen their lives changing. And we're still seeing the impact of that philosophy in our life. And we see how much change is occurring in our day-to-day life. And taking time with friends like you is actually just an opportunity to share my own personal experience, my own journey. And the hope is just to, help each other. If I make a very nice, I have very good neighbors. I don't know if they are online tonight, but some here I know my neighbors. And I have two neighbors in particular that are very, very nice. And when they make a very special dish, they know Eric will like it. So I have a surprise gift in my stairs. And they're my neighbors, but I have a staircase to go to my apartment. And sometimes I have a very sweet message in my text or whatever. And this is, Eric, check your stairs. And I know I open the door, and on the stairs, there's a beautiful little thing waiting with, of course, a meal waiting for me. And they know my weaknesses, so they know what I like. So when they make something very nice, they like to share the dish with me. And to me, this is what I'd like to do with you tonight. So check your stairs, and you have a beautiful container with spiritual food that I'd like to share with you. And my journey with the Brahma Kumaris has been now, quite a long one. I've been on this path since I was 21 years old. And it's a fortune to really have friends that can teach us. In the beginning, they're very good teachers, and then they become friends, then they're companions. And on the journey, this organization for me has provided me an international circle of friends, an international family, I would say. And each one of these close friends has been able to teach me some fabulous lessons. And if it was not sometimes for those friends, I would have stumbled on the journey much more, and it would have been more difficult. So this is a spirit in which I want to be with you tonight, not as a teacher or as a someone who knows more than you. I know many of you have as many years of experience as I do. But I think by sharing our personal experiences, and particularly in the field of relationships, because it's a very, very important one, if we can help to sometimes make some relationships less painful, because that would be part of the aim, and some, of course, more enjoyable, well, that's as good. I don't know if you all agree, but if you were to assess your mental health, I would say, or your mental state of being based on your relationships in your life, how many relationships in your life are pulling you up? How many people in your life, every time you meet with them, you feel you're not even meditating, but you're levitating. And when they leave, you feel, wow, it's so nice to be with them. I felt so nice. I enjoyed being their company. Do you have many friends like that? Yeah? How many do you have that do the opposite? And yesterday I was sharing on a different topic about being light. And in French, there's an expression, in France in particular, I'm originally from France. And when a relationship or person is a little bit intense, the French bad expression is to say, listen, you're really heavy. I think we say that in English too, you're heavy. And you don't like people when they're heavy, do you? Do you like heavy people? And you feel that you're listening to them and your head is heavy, your life is heavy, and just you see the door and you just want to get out through the door as quickly as possible because it's heavy. Do you have any relationships like that? Anyone that tends to change the energy around you, and when you meet those people, you feel, oh, I need a shower. I need a drink. I need something. I need to get out. I need to, get fresh air because it became heavy a little bit. We have an expression sometimes to say some people drain your energy. Another expression is some people, they are what we call high maintenance. Do you know that expression? Do you have any in-laws or friends, neighbors that tend to be a little bit high maintenance? And so these relationships, how many do we have? How many are pulling us up? How many are taking us down? How are we managing these relationships? So it's a big, big topic, and harmonious relationships for me, I'm very, very, I don't want to seem like to be arrogant or anything, but it is one of the feel in spirituality with this journey that I find that I've been able to work really, really a lot at it because I knew how much relationships can create pain in my life. Any one of you have ever had a broken heart? Do you enjoy having your heart broken? No, I mean, we don't like it. And even sometimes when we are told by a good friend, Eric, you broke my heart, we don't like to break other people's heart either. How many times do we feel that some pain that we experience are because of relationships? I cannot count how many times I hear from friends and students, colleagues at work, their story of painful effect of relationships, parents with children, children with parents, husband with wives, wives with husbands, elderly parents with their children, children with their elderly parents, neighbors. Now, even with dogs, it's getting complicated. Even dogs are supposed to be, better than gods in relationships. But still now people have hard times with their cats and dogs. This is terrible. Can't even handle a hamster at home anymore. It's getting complicated. Relationships, are a very, very big part of our lives. There's an image I always like to use. And if, you were to look inside your brain, imagine you open your head and it looks like an apartment building. How many people live in your head? Have you ever, did you ever do a census of how many people live in your head? Do you know how many live in your head? There are people that live there permanently. They talk whenever they want. They take a lot of space. Sometimes they occupy many flats and you can't say anything. They take over half of the building sometimes. They make a lot of noise. Some people you don't want to think about them, but they're so present in your head. They are like living in our heads. When I came to Canada, it was actually to go away from a relationship in my family that was not working for me at the time. And I thought always that France, it's such a small country. I thought this is too small for the two of us. If I go to Canada, there's space, I'll be fine. And literally I moved away from France thinking it was too small for, someone in me. And when I moved to Montreal, I didn't realize that the person moved in my head with me. And I could be in Bay and Hudson Bay or in, the wildest areas in Montreal and Canada and anywhere. Didn't change anything. The person will still be talking in my head. And so how many people live in our heads that we don't want to live in our heads? Some we are happy to see them in our heads. When they show up in our head, we're very happy. When my grandmother passed away, I loved her so much. And I kept having visions of her, and she keeps showing up when I was in my kitchen. And I always told her, Mammy, that's how we call her in French, grandmother, take as many rooms as you want in my head. That's fine. You can move in. I'm okay. If you need a space, just move in. I'm happy. You can stay there whenever you want. But other people, I wish I can just, tell them your lease is up. You have to move out. But they don't. If you're really hurt by someone, they will be noisy in your head. You have conversation with them in your head all the time. So I'm not telling anything new. I'm just trying to connect with you, see if you have also this kind of situations. Relationships, my point initially is if you look at your mental state, how much do you think, what's the percentage of those relationships, or what is the percentage of my well-being that is generated by relationships? Really, do we have a way to calculate? And if you were to say that my well-being actually is dependent on the quality of my relationships to such a percentage. And I know for a fact that when a person in a very, very loving relationship, goes through a difficult moment in that relationship, it affects them day and night. They awaken at night because they're thinking about the person. And if a relationship gets really sour to a point where there will be a divorce, there will be violent words, there will be fights, there will be screaming at each other, telling people horrible things. I know most yogis don't do that. I don't do that. But I know it happens. And I sometimes feel, now it's nighttime, if you were to be able to scan all the houses in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, anywhere in the world, scan through all the houses and hear what is happening. Yes, in some places you will find a lot of love. But unfortunately, I know I've been working in the media and I can tell you what goes on behind doors in some private homes is so heartbreaking, really. People torturing each other to a point where you can't even explain, you can't even describe. And I know some people make other people's lives so miserable. I know parents whose life is completely affected day and night because of being rejected by their children. I can go on and on like this. So just to say how much relationships can change. And some yogi will tell me, well, it's fine. I don't have any more relationships. I give them all up. I'm just with God and I'm happy with God. I would say, well, then, okay. It's the same concept. Because the day your connection with God is not working, and the day your Wi-Fi provider is not working anymore, you have some kind of funny things in the air and your connection is not working, then you're miserable. A religious man who is disconnected from God, or a yogi disconnected from the Supreme, is really not a happy yogi, isn't it? So relationships is not something we can avoid. It's omnipresent in our life. We go to work, we have family, we have friends, we have neighbors, we go, shopping. It's all about relationships. So in my journey with the Brahma Kumaris, I saw how much that relationship was a two-way dynamic. And I was affected by others, but I was also part of those relationships. And I could be really angry sometimes at someone or upset at somebody, and it will affect me so much because I couldn't handle the situation or the relationship. And I understood from the teachings of Raj Yoga that if you want to be happy, really, really happy, you have to do something about these relationships. And this is why I find it's a very, very big topic. And we won't be able, of course, to cover the whole area tonight. But what I can share with you is my way of working on it. And I can really say today, which I would not be able to say a few years ago, that today, honestly, I cannot think of one person in my life that bothers me, affects me, that for whom I wouldn't have a good feeling. Honestly, I can't think of one. Not even an animal, I think. I think it's fine. Mosquitoes, maybe. That's maybe the little exception, but I give them blessing before forcing them to reincarnate a bit faster. So I give them blessing with love. Om Shanti. Bye-bye. But otherwise, these are the only ones I have this kind of relationship with. Otherwise, spiders, I bring them out nicely in an handkerchief. I don't kill animals. I don't eat animals. And I don't hurt, I hope, I don't hurt people. And if I do, it's really, really something I will feel really, really bad about afterwards. So why I came to that state is because I worked really, really hard in changing my own approach to relationships. And it started with a simple faith or a simple conviction that was offered to me in the philosophy was, do you think you can love everybody or every soul, every being? Can you love you? Can you love life? Can you love nature? Can you love everything? And yes, in the beginning, it was, my answer when I was asked this question many years ago, I said, yes, but can I have a few exceptions? Can I make a list of exceptions? As in, no exceptions. And of course, my exceptions were quickly appearing in front of me. And I said, no. And those you have an issue with, they are the ones you should actually have even more love for. That's why I can't do that. And it took me really decades to completely, I would say, heal the heart to a point where today I have experienced in my life moments where I even question the size of my heart, thinking, how much can it become bigger and bigger and bigger all the time? My problem is to handle so many people I love. They don't fit in my agenda. I don't know how to spend as much time with people I love in 24 hours, 7 days a week. It just doesn't fit. And sometimes there's honestly so much love for so many people that I keep asking my heart, how big can you become? You know, like, what's the size of a big, 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 big heart? Having love for the world, having love for everyone. You can go, for me, I can go to shopping somewhere and in a store, and the teller may be impatient and annoyed or stressed, maybe her first or his first day at work. I can easily now today, you know, connect in this kind of spiritual energy and just send such a good energy and having such a close feeling for someone I don't even know. I couldn't do that before, honestly. So I can only share with you a few of my pattern of what I've tried to develop on myself. And I would say the first thing that I would suggest is to do an assessment, as we did a little bit up to now, as to what is the state of my relationships, honestly. To really take a few minutes, one day if you can, to sit down and to just honestly ask yourself, in the department of relationships in my life at the moment, if I was a doctor, what is my diagnosis? Am I about to die? Am I okay? Am I going to live long? Am I enduring long-term pain, which I shouldn't? How many toxic relationships? How many good relationships? One exercise I did many, many years ago, which I highly recommend you to try. It was the beginning for me of a big, big journey. And the first exercise I did, I think it was 20 years ago, I put on a piece of paper, I decided to put the names of those in my life who really matter. Not everybody I know, just those that to me count, like who really counts in my life, to a point where I cherish or I value those relationships and I want to hold on to those relationships. They're important to me. And I started writing names. And then I decided, okay, where do I write those names? So I put myself in the middle. You are the main actor of your life, by the way. So you put yourself in the middle of the sheet of paper. And then you will put the names of people, but those who are close to you, you put them close to your name. Those who are important, but we call it in English number-wise, you know, according to those who are really, really, really close, and those who are close, but not so close. But still, you want to keep them. And I had to redesign every time, because every time I said, oh yeah, but this one goes here even closer, or that one. Who are the closest relationships to you? You may be surprised. I was very surprised. The person I moved away from and I left France is today the one closest to my heart. It's incredible. I never expected that. There might be a few dead people, by the way. I shouldn't talk like that, but there might be a few, you know, Holy Spirits hanging around in your life. That's okay too. Some are very present in our life. My grandmother, I still give her a big, big penthouse in my head. She's always welcome. So who are the people in your life that really, really matter? Create a diagram, an organigram of your spectrum, of your web of relationships. You'll see it's fascinating. And they start to come into families. For me, I had my, what we can call physical family, like blood relatives. They were kind of together with, you know, degrees. Some I don't know too well. Some don't even make it to the paper. Others, yeah, they are distant, but not so distant that I don't want to see them. It was fascinating to see those relationships. Fascinating. And then I did a little other drawing where I put the relationships that are really a problem. And I was surprised, there was quite a few. So I kept those graphics because they really give me a mapping of the how to call them, how to call it, the branches or the roots, maybe tentacule in French, I don't know in English, the kind of little things that are spreading out from your head and connecting. This is your network, maybe that's the word, that network of all relationships. And these relationships, all these people in my life are entirely connected to my level of happiness and well-being and contentment and sorrow and pain. There's a direct connection. So that was my first big thing, which is to do an assessment. to evaluate the quality of my relationship, or to at least identify those relationships, and then to identify the quality of those relationships, even for those I really, really love deeply. Is it really a healthy relationship? Is it a dependent based relationship? Is it a toxic relationship? Is it a very influential and she's happy, I'm happy, she's not happy, I'm not happy? How would I describe those relationships? And then the second step to me is to determine what's my goal? What's my purpose? And then we have options. Do I keep my life living based on how those relationship goes, no matter what happens? That's fine. I don't control it. Or do I control it? To what extent can I control it? What's my goal? What do I want to achieve? One of our senior one, they told us, if you can have 95% of very good, if 95% of your relationships could be based on love and respect and harmony and everything, you're fine. There will always be 5% that may never work. And then I heard that same person one day say, no, actually it should be 100%. And I realized she's right. Don't open the door for 5 apartments in there with rats and snakes and vermin. You don't want to have that. So no negative relationships. So my goal for me was, no, I think it's possible. As a yogi, as a spiritual person, I want to complete my life in such a way that there's absolutely no one in my life with whom I would say, yes, it's a toxic relationship, or it creates pain, or it affects me negatively. No. So what is my goal? That's very, very important. And then next to my goal is, what is my responsibility? And we talk about fulfilling the responsibility of a relationship. So what's my responsibility in a relationship? And this is a hard part, because very often people believe, as I did, that if I'm in pain is because of the other person's attitude. And if the person didn't insult me yesterday, I would not feel so hurt. And you're right. But you're wrong. So it's both. You're right in a way, that's true. The person insulted you, you're affected. But why are you affected? And the question was for me, why am I affected? 95% of the time is who is being hurt is my ego. That's it. It's only my ego being hurt. My ego who wants to be loved, my ego who wants to be right, my ego who wants to control, my ego who wants to have the last word, my ego who doesn't want to be contradicted, my ego who wants to be praised, my ego who wants to be, etc., etc., etc. And that ego, when it's not being, worshipped and praised and put into a glamorous state of elevation, is hurt. So what is the problem? Is it the person insulting me, or is it my ego? So then I have a choice. If I say it's the person's fault, then good luck. Try to change the person. Try to convince the person she or he is wrong. Good luck. Even tribunal don't convince people. They just convict them. They don't convince them. I tried. I was expert with the ego, which was still the size of France, about that size. I was expert in having, incisive words that could really hurt someone. I knew how to do that. I knew how to use a tongue to really be mean. I knew that. I was raised with that. I learned that. I think we teach that in school, actually, in some areas. I knew how to hurt people. I knew how to argue. I knew how to manipulate. I knew to be, how to be very calculative. But thankfully, I had good friends who put that in front of me and says, Eric, do you realize, your ego is really obvious? And I couldn't see it. And the day I started to see how my ego was really the one interfering, more than the other person, I started to go through the process of having to really, really work on that level. And it's not easy. It's really, really not easy, but it's necessary. I can always blame other people for my own state of mind. But the day I take responsibility of fulfilling the relationship, then I come to purpose, which is I'll do my share. And I'm not pretending that I can fix the relationship, but I can do my share. And once I do my share, I'm free, because I won't feel I'm taking the pain from the other person's not fulfilling their share or their responsibility. So a person can be mean, can be aggressive, can be negative, can be, trying to abuse me. All right. How would I do my own part so I react properly? Well, that's the big spiritual journey that we invite people to try, in their life. And that's a work. And may see if we have time, I'll come back on that. But first, there was looking at the state of the web network of relationships. Then what is my goal? What do I want? Because if I don't want to improve them, I will not improve them. Then what is the responsibility I'm willing to take on those relationships? And then comes the very interesting part, which is how am I going to do it? What are the tools to start changing relationships? And I have to understand one thing, is that one of the tools in creating harmony in relationship is very deep understanding of the mechanism of relationships. And this enters the field of what we call the law of karma, which means, as you know, some people that we meet in our life, I'm sure you have said that in some people, and if you have a little romantic side in you, you may have said that many times, we must have met in another life, right? Have you ever recognized friends from previous lives? My joke was actually in the opposite. When I get attached to someone and a little bit in love with someone, I told them, well, in this birth, sometime they are married or they're already in a relationship. And I'm not too available because I'm in major renovation. And I say, I'm under construction, it's complicated. Yogis are they're really working hard on themselves. And I won't pretend I can afford a full-time relationship. Let me work on myself. I have to deal with this, gigantic ego, first of all. So I would take appointment for next birth relationship. And I said, can we make a deal? And maybe, I'm busy for the next 2 births. I've already taken an appointment. So I'm ready for my 3rd birth. So that would be in about, maybe 2,300, something like that. So can we make a deal? So I would joke like that. Let's go into relationship in the near future or in long distance future. But my point is, how does it work? When I have a connection with someone, is it possible that that connection is triggered by something that comes from the past? Half the world population believes in reincarnation, half doesn't believe in it. It's not that's true or wrong, or right or wrong. It's what is my personal philosophy. I know I refer to him often and it's not relevant in English, but he's a French filmmaker, very, very well known, one of the most well-known French filmmaker in France. And he has done endless movies, and all his movies are about complicated relationships, but always with flashback from these people meeting in different births, in different forms. And one of his most famous movie is about the great story of love. And the movie starts by saying, this is a story of love that started 2,000 years ago. And he's taking the life of Jesus with all the people he knew at the time when they meet 2,000 years later in France. And so the centurions, who were the kind of the Roman bad guys, holding the streets, they become policemen in 2000 in Paris. Mary is still called Mary, and she's looking for Jesus somewhere, in Spain. It's very fantastic. But it's a very serious movie, and he has that feeling. And he has a movie called Each and Everyone in Life, and they say that we all are interconnected. We knew each other from past. We've known each other in different births. So those who go into that field of thinking in a philosophy would probably accept that if I meet someone and there's a strong, strong reaction, there may be a connection from the past. So if we have that philosophy, we'll have to explore the consequences of that philosophy. And I would say, if you have that philosophy, it's fine. It's rich. There's a lot of good tools in that, because it explains a lot of things in a way. If I don't have that philosophy, it doesn't matter. What is my philosophy? If I meet someone and have a strong attraction, maybe it's polarity, or it's similarity of personality, or it's opposite of personality, it doesn't matter my philosophy, but I have to have structured understanding of what's going on, so that I'm not going to hand over the relationship to the field of emotions. Emotions will not be able to manage toxic and complicated relationships. On the contrary, if a relationship hurts me and if I'm in pain, I lose my sense of judgment. I lose my sense of discernment. And when I'm in a bad relationship, what do I say? I know this is what you think. We project the person behave in a certain way, and we say, I know why she's doing like this. She doesn't like me, or she thinks like that. I don't know, but I'm presuming. Why? Because my feeling. And some believe their feelings to be always the truth. And they say, I know it, I feel it. Yeah, but your feeling is distorted. It's based on the pain that we feel and then we accumulate. How can I believe my feelings? Go into meditation, go beyond all this relationship, reconnect with the beauty of life, and go back in a relationship, and you'll find that the feeling is totally different. Then I feel mercy, I feel compassion, I feel forgiveness, you know? So whose feeling is right? I cannot trust feelings in a relationship that is not working. So I have to rely on another tool. And the other tool is the understanding, how relationships work. So once I have that understanding, then I can do something about it. Stop creating negativity in relationships, because action and reaction are connected. And they will come, even forget about past birth, but they will happen in this birth. I've done numerous experiences, really, really sincerely, where I find that some people, was not smooth, was not going very, very well. Well, I've done what I was told. Sit in meditation, visualize the person, and create new feeling for the person. Inside of you, you may think, I really hate her. You will not admit that to anybody else but you. But if you're honest, you may tell yourself, he really annoys me. I don't like that person. I really just don't like it, period. Okay, fine, it's okay. We're all human, it's normal. Now, okay, once I've done that and I've said, okay, I don't like that person, then what? So the yogi would say, okay, I'm told take a pill 3 times a day, you'll feel better. Okay, this is medication and meditation. And the pill is, even if you hate this person profoundly, and you know it's an evil person, stop it. Having that feeling hurts you. And that feeling is wrong, period. The person may be bad, the person may be wrong, the person may be terrible, might be the president of a country. Doesn't matter, stop it. Don't allow your feelings to be created. That is what I am responsible for. I can generate my own feelings for my own goodness. If I burn my food because I'm angry, and you take your tofu and you smash it and you put it into frying pans and you burn it until it put into flames, and you put rocks in your frying pan because you're angry, and you eat it. What do you think people who watch you doing this will say about you? They would say, are you just mad? What are you cooking? Why are you eating this? I don't know about you, but when I burn something badly, I don't eat it. I just have to throw it. If I make a dish and it spoils, imagine that you make a nice dish, but you forget to put it in the fridge. And you leave for a nice long weekend. You come back 3-4 days later, it's still on the counter. And they just start to move a little bit. There's things growing and strong smell. Will you eat it? Of course not. Why do we do the same in the mind? We generate terrible, bad foods, and we keep eating it. And then we say, oh, I feel so bad. I woke up during the night. I couldn't stop, Of course you feel bad. We generate those feelings. And the philosophy, the understanding says, I can change. I can be responsible to change my feelings. And people have done it. It's possible. It's called therapy. It's called Raj Yoga. It's called meditation. It's called, work on myself. So I've done it with some people I didn't have good feelings for. And I visualized them. I said, okay, I'm going to change my feelings. How am I going to create a new feeling? Well, try to see something that is positive in the person. Identify a few qualities. And if you don't find any, call her husband or his wife or his friend. There's always somebody that loves the one that you hate. I've done that one day, long time ago. I couldn't stand a colleague at work. And when I found out he had a new girlfriend, I was so bad. I almost told my other colleagues, I don't know what kind of girlfriend he could have. I mean, he's so bad. How can he have a girlfriend? I don't know what. And one day he asked me to go and get the girlfriend at the door because she is coming and we had, need for security. And I said, can you go and get my girlfriend, and brought her in and asked her to wait because I'm late. I was very curious what kind of girlfriend he has. And she was a great, person. And I couldn't figure out how she could be in love with this guy that to me was obnoxious and intolerable at work. It was really, really difficult character. And most people felt that way. And after a few times I met this girlfriend of his, I have to admit, I asked her one day, I said, tell me, you've known this guy for not so long. What do you like in him? And she said, I know he has a strong character, but and she told me things about him that I didn't know. I should have known. I mean, I was working with him, but because he was annoying me, I never bothered establishing a dialogue, asking him very simple questions. What to do, where do you come from, and what's your life? And if I had asked him a little bit of his life story, I would have quickly understood where he's coming from, and maybe my feelings would have been different. But I was so lost in my selfish, don't bother me, be nice to me, be a good person in my environment, selfishness. So looking at the life of people, looking at other people, and paying attention, finding qualities and changing my vision. And if there's no qualities, then create 3 blessings. I wish you really to one day become a peaceful person. Fine, okay, you can't find a quality, you can't find a positive thought, then we create 3 blessings. May you really find peace in your life. I wish you well in your family. I hope your body can handle what you're doing to it. Just simple things. See the person, repeat that many times, until when I meet the person every time, whoops, that's the kind of thoughts that come to my mind. And I swear to you, I mean, this is working. After a while, we start smiling to the person. We start listening a little bit more. And I can guarantee you, vibrations create vibrations. If I'm the first one in a toxic relationship to change the vibrations, we have to be patient, consistent discipline. And after a while, it might be months, but one day I would have generated enough vibrations so that the other person start to reciprocate. And you will be amazed how relationships that we thought would be unsolvable turn around. And people you didn't like, one day, honestly, you start to look at them very sincerely and you feel, why I didn't like them? They're nice, they're okay, she's fine, he's okay. It's not the friend I want to call for coffee every night, but I have good feeling. I really, really like that soul. So there are many tools, and I know I speak way too much. So at some point, Pam or someone just cut me off and turn off my mic and put a sign that says Om Shanti. I'll stop talking, but I know I talk too much. But that's just one tiny tool. There's so many others. The second one I'll share, which is very important, is we learn to look at others not as a man, a woman, Mike, John, Juliet, or whatever name. This is a soul. This is not just a body. This is a soul. And I'm looking at my brother's soul, my sister's soul. We're spirits. Try that. Whatever you think, whenever you think of the person, say he or she is a soul. Try with someone that you have a hard time with. She's a soul. As a soul, it's fine. Easy to give good wishes to a soul. That soul in the body, playing the role of your nasty neighbor who always throws the snow on your side, it's playing the role. That's the script has said you are going to annoy your neighbor. Well, that's the role he or she is playing. And claps, so you're playing your role very nicely. You're really doing well. As a bad neighbor, you're number one. But I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm going to change my feeling. I'm going to have good feelings. So there are many tools. Invitation for those of you who don't have a Raj Yoga center near you, contact one immediately in an emergency and tell them, I have a few neighbors I need to, or whatever. Honestly, there are many, many tools on the spiritual domain that we can use to change our feelings in a relationship. So again, just to give you an overview of what I experience or what I do. What is my network? Awareness of what is the state of my relationship, what quality, what is the toxicity, how am I in a scale of quality in relationships? What's my objective? What's my responsibility? And now what am I going to do about it? What are my tools? What tools am I going to use? Medication, process, exercise, whatever, meditations, many tools. And then come the best part at the end. How can I fulfill my responsibility in relationships in creating harmony in the relationship? And the last part, which is the most interesting one, but cannot be happening without the previous one. The last part is, now let me live the power of the relationship. Let me enjoy the power of the relationship. I cannot have a life without relationships. Even if I connect with God and my concern is to be mostly in relationship and yes, God, I want to be with you. Fine, he's great, he's easy to get along with. I still have to get out of my meditation. I have to handle people and we have to love them. So the last part, which is enjoying the power of relationships, is where our heart finally activates the level of love it's meant to activate. And our heart starts to vibrate at the frequency it's supposed to function. And a normal human life, as we understand it in Raj Yoga, Raja means I'm a king. I'm really the king of myself. Well, the heart, when it's very healthy, is pumping not blood, but love. A lot. Often, every day, with everyone, all the time. And everyone I meet will generate, to a certain extent, a flame of love. Either I know the person, I don't know the person is a challenge, a test, a blessing, a curse, a neighbor, an in-law, or whatever, I have a heart filled with love. For me, honestly, this is where I feel purpose at the moment in my life. And I feel that when I'm in that state of functioning, and that I wake up in the morning and I love people, and I'll hold one little thing, there's one little not so easy part of it. How about loving me? That's part of it, right? Running out of time, but it's another story, but it's part of it. But if every day I wake up and I can generate love for people I'm working with, my family, my friends, people I meet everywhere in the life, well, that's when heart generates not just love, but the happiness, the power, the connection, which was not happening before, except for very few people. Just think, when we fall in love, it should be rise in love, but when we are in love with someone, we say wonderful things. There's a million stars shining in your stars. You raise me to the sun, like, the sky blooms in your heart, and you are so poetic. 3 months later, you divorce and you are so in a terrible state. So careful with those high, intoxication. But we know when there's connection, which is real, sometimes with our parents that we love so deeply, that connection is so precious. Unfortunately, I haven't talked yet about purity of love, because sometimes we mixed up, we love, but we have so much attachment that we ruin the whole thing. And we love them until they do something we don't like, and that love turns into bitterness. That's because there was attachment. Coming soon at another, how is it called? Stop and do something. Stop and challenge, or stop and change something.
Stop and recharge.
Recharge. Stop and recharge. More to come in that area when we connect with this topic of attachment. But honestly, when we are in the field, and those, I'm watching some of you that every time I see them, my heart pumps. I see Savi here. I mean, when I see my dear friend Savi, I can't control my heart. It starts blooming like a rose. And what can I do? I can only tell her, sister, I love you, and how much they are dear to our hearts. I see many of you I know, and every time I see them, some from Vancouver here, I see them, their face, my heart blooms. I cannot control it. If I'm in love with someone, I can't control it. When I see the person, I want to hug, I want to kiss, I want to, well, yeah, happy to see you. Are you like that? We are loving people. We are designed to love. We are, it's our main DNA to be in love with the world, to be in love with nature, to be in love with the self, to be in love with God. We broke that connection. And it's okay. It's what we call the dark age. This is why the world is such a deep mess. There's no more love, no love between religions, no love between political parties. I mean, I want to start again telling you the news. I've been a newsman for a long time. I'm not going to go back in my job telling you the bad news. Tonight was a good newscast, wasn't it? I gave you more positive news. So when we are in that state of love, honestly, for my heart, I can only tell, and I feel I'm just starting to explore that dimension. Love performs wonders, magic. I know sometimes you love someone, but there's a little discussion and you feel your love, oops, just drop. It's okay. Sometimes it's warm and you forgot to close the window. It's minus 20 outside. Close the window to come back. So yeah, that would be my conclusion, that the heart that has connected with love in relationships knows much more than harmonious relationship. It knows powerful relationships. It knows uplifting relationships. And it knows relationships that just expand the heart more and more. So did I convince you to do something about it? I'm sure many of you are probably thinking, what's his problem? I mean, I'm fine. I don't have any problem with my relationships. What is he talking about? And if that's the case, well, congratulations, you've done the work. But if you ever suffer because of someone, I'm sure you must have heard something tonight that can inspire you to come back tomorrow morning and say, life, just watch me. I'm the new love on earth, and I'm going to give love to everyone, and I'm going to love everyone. And if they hate me, they insult me, doesn't matter. I'm okay. I'm going to give them love. I know there are many areas which we couldn't cover, of course, but thank you so much for bearing with me in times. I hope I didn't overpass too much my privilege. And I really just want now to give each one of you, by name. Let me flip again to a few cameras open. Yes, I see you all. Whichever body you're in, sending you lots of love with spiritual hug and warm feelings from the heart. And in the spirit of celebrating together, being one big human family.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear spirit say, there is only love. There is only love. It's love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. It's the love that heals, the love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. There is only